Banking with Capital One helps you keep more money in your wallet with no fees or minimums on checking accounts and no overdraft fees. Just ask the Capital One bank guy. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. He'd also tell you that this podcast is his favorite podcast, too. Ah, really? Thanks, Capital One bank guy. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Whenever I need to send roses that are guaranteed to make someone's day, the only place I trust is 1-800-Flowers.com. With 1-800-Flowers, my friends and family always receive stunning, high-quality bouquets that they absolutely love. Right now, when you buy a dozen multicolored roses, 1-800-Flowers will double your bouquet to 2 dozen roses. To claim this special double roses offer, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST.
Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. That's why a State Farm agent is there to help you choose a coverage option that's right for you. Whether you're getting a new house, car, boat, or RV, helping protect it is important. And State Farm is there to help you choose the coverage you need, whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app. And with so many coverage options, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs, so you can continue to focus on what's most important to you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey guys, it's Hannah from Giggly Squad. You know I love beauty, and that's why I go to Sephora. It's not just shopping, it's like a glam experience. The beauty advisors actually get beauty, unlike those big box stores, and they give me all the advice I need. And I love going with the products you can only find at Sephora, like my new favorite Kayali fragrance, my perfect shade of House Labs foundation, and finally restocked my Laneige lip mask. All with the help of real experts. Oh, and if you haven't tried Days shampoo, go try it. It's a game changer. Sephora isn't just a store, it's the beauty destination. Go. You'll thank me later.
This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, July 21st, 2025. We tell you what you need to know, follow up on context, and gosh darn it, try to help each other understand.
Today, there's a hack on passkeys. We'll explain why it shows passkeys' advantage over passwords, while also revealing a key weakness.
I'm Tom Merritt.
And I'm Robb Dunewood.
Let's start with what you need to know with that big story. So you may hear about a vulnerability in passkeys out there. It's a real story, but, you know, depending on who's reporting it, they might play up certain parts of it. So we thought we'd start off by explaining what's going on, both the good and the bad. And the good news is this is not a vulnerability in passkeys itself. Passkey security has not been compromised. The bad news is that some clever actors have figured out a way to trick you into authorizing an account using your passkeys. So it's a phishing attack. We'll explain. Security company Expel observed the attack from threat actors. These are threat actors. Sometimes you might see them referred to as poison seed. So it's actively being exploited. The group is using the cross-device authentication feature to phish people. Passkeys are encrypted and stored on your device. They're behind biometric protection. They are phishing resistant. However, to let you use a passkey stored on one device to log into another device, say you've got the passkey on your phone, but you want to log into your computer, a service provider can offer a couple of different ways. Now, the more secure way would be to do it by Bluetooth. And then Bluetooth sends the signal over Bluetooth directly from device to device with the passkey. You're logging in, being able to log you in on the other device. And though that would never leave your device. So that would not be useful to the phisher. The other method, and the more common method, is a QR code that you scan with one device in order to send the signal that, hey, yes, that device is allowed to sign on with the passkey that's on this device. And that's the method that Poison Seed is exploiting. So in order to exploit this, the attacker first has to get you to a fake site that looks like a legitimate login site. Maybe they're mimicking your corporate login site. Maybe it's a Microsoft 365 site, something like that. So if you avoid clicking on a fake link, you will not fall for this attack. But you know what? We're all human. We all click on links we shouldn't sometimes. So that's the vector for the attack. You, if you don't know this is a fake site, enter your login ID like normal, and then the fake site uses that to start the login process on the legitimate site. You don't see that, but it's doing that in the background. It asks the legitimate site to use the cross-device authentication, and then the legit site will provide it with a QR code, which the attacking site takes and displays to you, the end user. If you scan that QR code and authorize the login on your device, the attacker gets authorization to log in because it's the one that actually asked for that QR code. So what do we do about this? Well, on the side of the sites providing the login, Expel recommends the following: limit geographic locations of logins and create a system for travelers to be able to log in. That way, if the attacker is in, Dubai and you're in San Francisco, it can go, wait a minute, why is this login that usually comes from San Francisco coming from Dubai? And if you travel to Dubai, you can say, hey, I'm traveling to Dubai to your corporate site, whatever. You can also routinely check uncommon security key brands and locations in case they were able to mimic you somehow. And then, of course, the obvious one would be limit cross-device logins to Bluetooth authentication. You, as a user, just need to follow the normal advice about clicking links for logging in, checking that URLs are legitimate. And also, if you're not expecting cross-device login, like if you're not logging in on a computer and you know the passkey's on your phone, if you know the passkey's on your computer and you get a QR code, well, then be suspicious. Something's up. Rob, you got any other thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's a bummer. I mean, have we thought about just telling threat actors, just stop it, just stop doing
I
this
know,
to,
right?
To make it easier on us.
Can you just cut it out, please? Enough isn't.
Just cut it out. But here's the thing: we really have to start thinking about accessing links to get to a logon site in the same way that we would have a bank call us and then ask us for information. If a bank ever calls you, they know who you are. They don't need your login. They don't need your password. They don't need any of this. You don't even want, and sometimes with the, if it's a, malicious person, they always say, well, just call us back at this number and you can verify that way you're calling us. You don't even want to do that because they gave you the number. We have to kind of think about all links this way. We should just never, ever click on something that takes us to a place where we're logging into something that we care about. That just has to get socialized out there because, as you said, that will absolutely shut this down. It takes this man-in-the-middle attack, essentially, to make this happen. You've got to go to a fake site for this to work. If you never go to the fake site, you are ultimately going to be relatively safe from this.
Yeah. And then, like we said, if you never use cross-device login, then you wouldn't be victim to this, because if it presented you with one, you're like, I don't do that. Maybe you keep your passkeys in a vault like 1Password or something like that. But then, of course, that limits the flexibility of this. Again, you have to rely on your site to support the Bluetooth method, but you could choose to use that all the time if that's available to you. It does. I'm with you though. Like it is disappointing that we have gotten to the point where it's like, oh man, even Passkey we can't just not think about yet. Although I would like to point out that the password multi-factor authentication method that the Passkey is meant to replace is rife with multiple, like hundreds of versions of this that are easier to implement for the attacker. So this is a more difficult and a more narrow one. So passkeys have made an advance and they are better than having a password because the password's stored on a remote server that they can access, and it's easier to phish you, because you don't have to go through all of the jumping through hoops to show a QR code and trick you into putting that. If you go to the login site that's fake and you put in your login and your password and your multi-factor authentication, you've been phished. You've been hacked at that point. So it's much easier to do this with passwords. I guess it shows how popular passkeys are, that threat actors are like, well, we got to figure out a way to get at people who use passkeys now.
It's as long as it's beneficial to them to get into stuff, they're going to figure out a way. And this is one of those ones where passkeys are still infinitely more secure than passwords. We just have to be careful. Don't click a link to go to your logon page. Just go. Just know your logon page. Have a bookmark on your device that'll take you to it, that was given to you by your organization. Don't just click on an email link or anything like that that'll take you to a login page and then log in, because that's ultimately where we will run into problems with this.
And listen, if you're like, I've done that before, forgive yourself. None of us are perfect. We all have those moments, but you do what you can to remind yourself and limit that as close to zero as possible, and that's going to help.
Yeah, one of the things that a lot of companies already have in place, and it was illustrated here in this article, is that the company that you're trying to log into, if they don't recognize the IP address that you're coming from, it looks like this is not a regular thing. They'll just stop you. They might make you jump through an additional hoop, but how often are you into by logging in? If that's like a once every 4 or 5 year thing, then jump through the hoop. So I think that will help a lot of organizations with this by just, if you don't recognize the IP address, make them do some additional things to check just to get around this. But at the end of the day, just don't click on links to go to log on pages.
Do your best.
DTNS is made possible by you, the listener, thanks to Philip Less, Howard Yermish, John Atwood, and Dr. X1728.
Yay! Thank you, patrons.
Picture this. You're in the garage, hands covered in grease, just finished up tuning your engine with a part you found on eBay, and you realize, you know what? I could also use new brakes. So where do you go next? Back to eBay. You can find anything there. It's unreal. Wipers, headlights, even cold air intakes. It's all there. And you've got eBay Guaranteed Fit. You order a part, and if it doesn't fit, send it back. Simple as that. Look, DIY fixes can be major. Doesn't matter if it's just maintenance or a major mod. You got it, especially when things are guaranteed to fit. So when you dive into your next car project, start with eBay. All the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Banking with Capital One helps you keep more money in your wallet with no fees or minimums on checking accounts and no overdraft fees. Just ask the Capital One bank guy. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. He'd also tell you that this podcast is his favorite podcast, too. Ah, really? Thanks, Capital One bank guy. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Dorina, co-founder of OpenPhone. My dad is a business owner, and growing up, I'll never forget his old ringtone. He made it as loud as it could go because he could not afford to miss a single customer call. That stuck with me. When we started OpenPhone, our mission was to help businesses not just stay in touch, but make every customer feel valued, no matter when they might call. OpenPhone gives your team business phone numbers to call and text customers, all through an app on your phone or computer. Your calls, messages, and contacts live in one workspace, so your team can stay fully aligned and reply faster. And with our AI agent answering 24/7, you'll really never miss a customer. Over 60,000 businesses use OpenPhone. Try it now and get 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/business. And we can port your existing numbers over for free. OpenPhone. No missed calls, no missed customers.
Ready to elevate your everyday? Quince has the luxe staples insiders swear by, minus the markup. From 100% European linen styles and 14-karat gold jewelry to gorgeous leather bags and elevated home finds, Quince has it all. And by partnering directly with top artisans and ethical factories, Quince delivers premium quality at half the cost of similar brands. Discover everyday luxury without the markup at Quince. Go to quince.com/style upgrade for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/style upgrade.
Hey, it's Maya and Sim from the Girls That Invest podcast. If you are an IT or security pro, you know managing devices, identities, and applications can feel overwhelming and honestly risky. That's where Trellica by 1Password comes in. It helps conquer SaaS sprawl and shadow IT by discovering every app your team uses, managed or not. With pre-built app profiles, you can assess risk, manage access, and even optimize your software spend. Plus, it simplifies onboarding, offboarding, and compliance, all while cutting costs by eliminating unused licenses. Take the first step to better security for your team. Learn more at onepassword.com/special offer.
There's more we need to know today. Let's get to the briefs.
Low latency, low loss, scalable throughput, or L4S, is a mobile internet technology that prioritizes latency sensitive packets like video calls and cloud games to reduce buffering and stuttering. L4S marks packets that experience congestion, and then software on your device can make adjustments to reduce the congestion. T-Mobile US is expanding its use of the technology on its 5G advanced service. Nokia and Vodafone conducted the first trial of L4S last year. Singapore's Singtel has been using it as well, and T-Mobile and Comcast have been deploying it in the US. And users don't need to do anything as the protocol is network driven. NVIDIA's GeForce Now cloud gaming service is one of the several companies that support it.
Yeah, you do need the company to support it, but you don't need to do anything. And it's in the company's interest to support this because it's going to work better and you're going to be more likely to use their service. And I know T-Mobile's getting the news today because they're expanding their access in the US, but I looked it up, and Verizon, Vodafone, or most of the major carriers out there are implementing this and will implement it over the next couple of years. This is a great story where you don't have to do anything. It's just going to improve your service.
Yeah, it's T-Mobile's definitely getting a headline because they're making news about it, but everybody's kind of working on it, and it will just be better for us as consumers once this gets rolled out across the board.
I guess if you're comparing with somebody like, hey, how come your FaceTime calls never stutter the way mine do? Is it's not just coverage. It could be L4S implementation. Hasn't come to your carrier yet. Microsoft SharePoint is used by many companies for internal organizations, things like intranets, company cloud, document sharing, all of that sort of thing. Attackers are actively exploiting two vulnerabilities and are targeting companies that host their own SharePoint servers on premises. These do not affect companies that use SharePoint Online hosted by Microsoft. That is an important point. You may not know which one your company uses, but if you're a sysadmin, you probably do. And if you're not hosting on-prem, you're okay for now. One vulnerability lets unauthorized actors execute code in the on-premise Microsoft SharePoint server. A second vulnerability lets an attacker perform spoofing over the network. You don't want either one of those things. Microsoft has issued patches for the vulnerabilities for users of SharePoint Subscription Edition and SharePoint 2019, and a patch for SharePoint 2016 is in the works. Microsoft also recommends that customers turn on and configure anti-malware scan interface, or AMSI.
So want to be very clear here, because a lot of times people hear on-prem and they think, oh, that means we're running it in our own data center somewhere, maybe in our building. On-prem here also means if you're running it in a VM. So if you're not running this in Microsoft 365 Cloud, if you're running this in Amazon, in Amazon, if you're running this on Google, even if you're running this in your own tenant on Azure and it's not managed by Microsoft, that is still considered on-prem. So you want to be careful with that. This includes VMs as well.
That's a really good point. Thank you for explaining that. Because, yeah, I think when people think on-prem, they're like, so here in the office building, right? And it's got a more amorphous description there.
The first of Meta's Oakley version of its smart glasses are shipping, and the reviews are out. On the surface, these do the same things as the Ray-Ban versions do: capture images and video and answer your questions using Meta AI. ZDNet found the Oakley designed to be more comfortable, even though they weigh the same 49 grams as the Ray-Bans do. I personally like how the Oakley ones look a little bit more, but that's just a personal preference. The Oakley charging case is bulkier, but it offers 48 hours of charges versus Ray-Ban's cases 32 hours. The Ray-Bans start at $240. So there are a bargain compared to the Oakleys. Oakley HTSN limited editions are $499. The $399 Oakleys don't ship until later this year. So like I said, I do like how the Oakleys look a little better, but I am a little bit disappointed because I thought I was going to get the Oakleys that like all the athletes wear, like the ones that the baseball players are wearing. That are just that one big lens. It's almost like a visor that goes across the whole front of your face. I thought that's what we were going to be getting when I heard that these were coming out until we saw the pictures. But I do personally like how these Oakley ones look a little bit more than the Ray-Bans. Yeah,
I'm the same way. I think I like Ray-Bans for like day-to-day use, but Oakleys are good for outdoor use, and that kind of bears out how this works. So I have the original Ray-Ban Metas, and let me tell you, the battery life is limited. You only can do 30 seconds. These second generation Ray-Bans are so much better. And I've been wanting to upgrade, but I've been holding off because I kind of wanted to see the Oakleys. But I think I might wait for the $399 Oakleys later this year because they get a few more styles to choose from then.
Yeah, and I wanted them as sunglasses too. So if I gotta wait until later in the year, am I going to be wearing sunglasses in the in the wintertime? I'm not a snow type sports person, so I know folks will wear them for that. But
Sure.
it's dark where I'm at in this, in the wintertime, so I don't know to be wearing the sunglasses.
Two senior officials in the UK government told the Financial Times that the UK Home Office is trying to figure out a way to back down on its demand that Apple provide a way for the government to access secure communications. If you remember, back in February, Apple removed the option for advanced device protection in the UK. Apple's Advanced Data Protection, or ADP, is the option that lets you protect your iCloud access with end-to-end encryption. That's different than end-to-end encryption in messaging. Messaging still has end-to-end encryption in the UK. And ADP can apply to messages you store in the cloud, but this is simply saying Apple doesn't hold the key to my iCloud. So that is ADP. ADP not being offered in the UK. If you use cloud to store things, Apple holds the key, which means the UK government could go theoretically at some point and ask for your key. Apple has filed a legal challenge against the order that makes them do that. Meta has actually joined that case. And at the moment, the case is still proceeding at the Investigatory Powers Tribunal. So it's not that they have backed down. It's that the Financial Times found some sources that are like, yeah, we need to figure out a way to back down, but we haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, I've said when we first heard about this, it's like, okay, Apple's going to, okay, we're going to get rid of ADP. We're not giving you a back door. We're just going to be like, nah, we're good. Your move, Europe,
UK.
That's not something that Apple is going to do. So I think that they absolutely are trying to figure out, okay, how can we get out of this and maybe save a little bit of face, because Apple will I don't see them ever acquiescing to this.
The Financial Times sources are positioning this as a reaction to pressure from the United States, which is probably true, but I imagine there's some internal pressure as well. There are probably high-level people within the UK who are like, wait, I can't use ADP. I need ADP. Like, I am a target of foreign governments. I am a target this. I don't want weakened security. I want the most security I can get. And they're not even worried about the UK government. They're just worried about the fact that that key isn't as safe as they can get it, and they want it to be as safe as they can get it. And the rest of the world has the ability to do this, just not the UK.
The latest beta version of WhatsApp for Windows is a major change, basically going from a native Windows app to a wrapper for the WhatsApp web version through Microsoft Edge's Web View 2 tech. The new version has a simplified UI for settings, including WhatsApp channels and more status and communities features. It also uses more RAM.
Yeah, that might be the only thing most people recognize. Like, this thing seems to be chugging up more on my computer these days. But I think power users will notice this, but it's easier to maintain for WhatsApp because they just got the web code now. They don't. Well,
here's the thing. Meta is actually saying that the web version is less functional than the desktop versions for both Apple and for Windows. So that's not going to make power users happy at all. To actually, hey, for your troubles, because we want to make it easier on us, we're going to make it less functional for you. That generally does not go down well.
No, it doesn't. At the 2025 RISC-V Summit in Shanghai, NVIDIA announced support for the RISC-V instruction set in its CUDA platform. If you know, you know. This means the open source chips can be used alongside NVIDIA's CUDA-based systems, the way ARM and x86 chips are now. And if you need it in even simpler terms, it means RISC-V chips in the data center at some point, like not tomorrow, but now possible. So expect some Chinese companies that have limited access to NVIDIA's other tech to explore this. And another thing that Tom's Hardware pointed out was people who make embedded systems might be willing to try this out for the cost saving.
Reuters reports that it's been seeing documents indicating that Chinese EV makers Meta and Zeekr inflated sales in recent years. The companies issued cars before they were sold, which let them report them as sales under Chinese regulations. Meta did this for 64,719 of its 117,000 reported sales between January 2023 and March 2024. Chinese state media also reported the story and indicated that the government is investigating the companies and called for the practice to end. This is not great news for the EV industry as a whole, as Wired has a story about several EV models being canceled by Honda, Nissan, Ford, and others.
Yeah. A couple of stories here, not great for the EV market, but this insured story in particular, Meta and Zeekr are not disobeying the law. there are two different numbers they report. There's a wholesale number and there's a retail number. And if they insure a car, they're actually, I think, required to report that as a sale. However, what it looks like is that Meta was insuring every car it could so it could report it as a sale. Zeekr is trying to say they were just insuring cars that were display models in showrooms, and therefore had to report them as sales, but they weren't trying to juice the numbers. And maybe that's true, maybe it's not. Zeekr's numbers were not nearly as inflated as Meta's were, though.
I mean, 64,719 to 117,000. I'm not a math savant, but I'm pretty sure that's like half.
Yeah.
So over half. I don't know. Maybe this falls into the alternative accounting practices.
Yeah. No, Meta was clearly manipulating this. Maybe Zeekr wasn't, but Meta was. In fact, there were some stories in this Reuters report that customers were being told that they had insurance on their car when they bought it and were kind of surprised, like, oh, okay. But then the insurance would expire like after a month because, they had insured the car long before it went on sale. So, yeah.
But it seems like they would know if you only do that month-to-month insurance, that's really expensive.
Yeah.
For the car company. I don't think that was the number that they were trying to be concerned about, though.
Definitely not. Microsoft rolling out updates to its Windows and console Xbox apps to show cloud-based gameplay in your recently played titles. So they can show in your library and let you access game saves as well. This is handy if you play a game on your console, but it's not available on PC. Your Windows app can still show it in your library, and therefore you can play it through Xbox Cloud Gaming on Windows. It will show the other way as well on your console, but PC games aren't playable on console yet, but they might be. That might be in the offing.
I cannot wait for that day. It can't come soon enough. And Pokemon Presents will stream at 9 a.m. Eastern on Tuesday, July 22nd. Kotaku reports that Joe Merrick of Cerebi noticed the Korean Pokemon YouTube channel let slip that the announcement will be 24 minutes long. That's not the longest, but on the longer side. And Kotaku notes that the stream was announced in May, a lot further ahead of the usual time.
Yeah, even Cerebi was like, people are going to make a big deal out of 24 minutes, but here's the lengths of all the previous streams, and there's some that have been longer in the past. But I think what Kotaku was trying to say is like, there's a lot of signs pointing to them having more interesting announcements coming up. So good to know. If you have feedback about anything that gets brought up on the show, you can get in touch with us on social networks. We are at DTNS Show on X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Mastodon. If you're on TikTok and YouTube, you can find us at Daily Tech News Show.
Banking with Capital One helps you keep more money in your wallet with no fees or minimums on checking accounts and no overdraft fees. Just ask the Capital One bank guy. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. He'd also tell you that this podcast is his favorite podcast, too. Ah, really? Thanks, Capital One bank guy. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank. Capital One N.A. member FDIC. As the main character of your life, you know how important it is to make the right choices for you, and how sweet it is to feel good about your decisions. With the State Farm Personal Price Plan, you have options to help create an affordable price for you, so you can continue living your best life. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
We end every episode of DTNS with some shared wisdom. Today, a loyal patron shares insight about their university's challenges with students and faculty using AI.
Yeah, they wrote, I currently work in the area of student conduct at a major university, so I have a more boots-on-the-ground view of the current situation. Our office partners with faculty to investigate and adjudicate allegations of all forms of academic misconduct, including misuse of generative AI. We are seeing students using AI in ways we have not prepared for, and that we cannot fully address via written policies. One newer example is students feeding course materials into ChatGPT or Gemini and prompting it to make a study guide. They say the study guide is more manageable than 15 weeks worth of slides, syllabi, lecture notes, and so on. The problem there is that the model sometimes spits out incorrect summaries or information, and the student is not able to recognize when that occurs, resulting in some very odd answers that they are unable to explain on exams. An example on the faculty side of things would be faculty sometimes upload student documents to AI checkers, which are notoriously unreliable, then file a report with our office based on those outcomes. In both of these cases, individuals are uploading academic works that are not their own into LLMs or other databases, which creates an additional layer of concern beyond the possible misuse in general.
I feel for educational systems over this type of stuff because AI is coming so fast. Yeah. And in one of these cases here, I'm thinking it would be really cool to just load up your syllabi into like Notebook LM to make a study guide. You're not trying to cheat. You're just trying to study more effectively with what was given to you. And that's still problematic. And then, of course, I would not want to be on the end of being told that something that I actually wrote myself indeed looked like AI because AI said it looked like AI. Yeah. We know we can't trust AI. So yeah, I really do feel for the educational system from the lowest levels to the highest levels, because this stuff is coming faster than they can adapt to it.
Yeah. And they will adapt, but it's going to be overwhelming, like our loyal patron here is saying for a long time. And, you can look at any one of these given examples and say like, oh, well, one solution could be the professor should do the summary and make sure it's correct. And then that way the students get a summary. And maybe that's a great idea. Maybe some professors will do that. But that solves one example, right? There's all kinds of other examples that were not cited here. It's that there's tons of unanticipated uses here. And, until this all shakes out and until LLMs hit that top of the hype curve, where we kind of just know what they're good for, we're going to keep having unusual uses of them.
Well, folks, what are you thinking about? We love to know. If you got some insights into a story, share it with us at feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com.
Big thanks to our loyal patron for contributing to today's show. Thank you for being along for Daily Tech News Show. You can keep us in business. Just become a patron. If you haven't already, go check it out. Lots of perks available at patreon.com/DTNS. I'll talk to you soon.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Banking with Capital One helps you keep more money in your wallet with no fees or minimums on checking accounts and no overdraft fees. Just ask the Capital One bank guy. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. He'd also tell you that this podcast is his favorite podcast, too. Aw, really? Thanks, Capital One bank guy. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
What makes a great pair of glasses? At Warby Parker, it's all the invisible extras without the extra cost. Their designer quality frames start at $95, including prescription lenses, plus scratch-resistant, smudge-resistant, and anti-reflective coatings, and UV protection, and free adjustments for life. To find your next pair of glasses, sunglasses, or contact lenses, or to find the Warby Parker store nearest you, head over to warbyparker.com. That's warbyparker.com.